Hi YouTube, this is a political blog. I thought I needed to make it. A little bit about myself first. I'm an ex-soldier, if any of you've seen any of my other videos. I was in for 13 years and I joined with the best of intentions, you know, defend the nation, do the right thing, that sort of stuff. However, since I left, a couple of things have happened. First and foremost, I started to look at society and the way it was run and who was running it, and became truly horrified very, very quickly that things had got so bad that actually the people that are in charge of us could have easily sent me to war, you know. Now another thing happened where I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, long-term post-traumatic stress disorder. And of course this opened my eyes to the idea of mental conditions, and what I found intriguing was that when I started learning about this disorder, I started learning about other disorders as well. And one of the things I came across is the sociopathic disorder, basically somebody who's a sociopath. And what it was intriguing was the more I looked into this, the more I read about it, the more I realized that actually our Prime Minister has these traits, but we've got a little bit something to worry about here. Tony Blair is ill. He's very sick. Needs to be retired. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just read you through a very brief synopsis of sociopathic disorder and the character traits of people that suffer it. Although you can find this on the internet yourself. So it's not very hard, but you know, have a look, see if you can see for yourself. I mean, this is really what I want you to do, guys, is look for yourselves like I've looked, and find for yourselves the truth of the things that are out there. So what I'm going to do is read some of the titles and go through some of the characteristics of somebody who suffers from sociopathic disorder. You tell me if you agree, and comment after this if you like. So anyway, the first thing that it says is that they have glibness and superficial charm, which is a language it says can be used without effort by them to confuse and convince their audience. It says that they are captivating storytellers that exude self-confidence, and that they can spin a web of intrigue that captures others. They are persuasive and have the capacity to destroy their critics verbally or emotionally. Well, I think in all cases that's Tony Blair, really, isn't it? That's our Prime Minister. He uses language very effectively. He can convince an entire nation that they're in trouble, when in fact he knew they were not. So he lied. They can spin webs of intrigue, which is precisely what he did to justify the Iraq War. They also have the capacity to destroy their critics verbally and emotionally, which I've seen him do at the last Labour conference, where there were a number of protesters in there holding up placards stating, you know, Blair out of Iraq and bring our boys home and things like that, where he emotionally destroyed them. He said a series of comments which, when you looked on the faces of those holding up the placards, you could see that just for a second they thought they were wrong when they weren't. They are manipulative and conning. It states that they never recognize the rights of others and see their self-serving behaviors as permissible. That's precisely what he does. He appears to be charming, yet inside he is covertly dominating and hostile. Yes, really is, isn't he, really? He doesn't recognize other people's things. He sees his own behavior as permissible without doubt. He sees himself as 100% correct. He's grandiose, he has a grandiose sense of self, and he feels entitled to certain things that are his right. He craves adulation and attendance and must be the center of attention. That's absolutely right. He remains him in his own fantasies, things like being a spokesman for God, or enlightened, or leader of humankind. And, if you just look at this man, you will see that that's precisely how he sees himself. He feels that his right, he's stated on television that he feels it his right to erode our democracy. It's his right to take our freedoms away. And he stated that he thinks that that's the way it should be. He's a pathological liar, which is another trait, and he has no problems with lying coolly and easily, and it's almost impossible for them to be truthful on a consistent basis. I think that's obvious. I think people are seeing that now. That's entirely true. He can create and get caught up in a complex belief about his own powers and abilities, which is true, as we're seeing our army extended beyond its abilities, far, far beyond its abilities. They display a lack of remorse, shame or guilt. That's fairly obvious. I could present him the same people that I've talked to, and they could say the same things to him with the same looks on their faces that have so upsetted me, and it would not make the slightest difference to that man. Shallow emotions, well, I can only assume. I think it must be the case. Although he can present emotions very easily, he doesn't actually feel them. Not at all. For example, it says they are outraged by insignificant matters, yet remain unmoved and cold by what would be things which would upset a normal person. There are many instances of our Prime Minister doing just that. Incapacity for love. They talk about God's love and they are unable to give or receive it, since they do not believe in the genuineness of their followers' love, and they are very harsh in testing it from their devotees and expect them to feel guilt for their failings. Well, yes. 100% yes. 100% yes. This is what he's done. His close members of cabinet follow him blindly. They're totally caught up with this guy. A need for stimulation, that they live on the edge, yet testing the beliefs of their followers and others with bizarre rules, punishments and behaviours. Verbal outbursts and physical punishments are normal. That obviously I couldn't qualify the physical aspects of it, but it doesn't need to be physical. In his political environment, he can just do precisely that, and does do precisely that. They have a callousness and a lack of empathy. They are unable to empathise with the pains of their victims, having only contempt for others' feelings of distress, and readily taking advantage of them, which he does on a consistent basis. Again, that Labour conference was a classic example of that, where people are upset that the actions of this nation and him himself have brought the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, and therefore touched the lives of countless hundreds of thousands more. Not millions, I don't know. Poor behavioural control with an impulsive nature. Truly, I think some of the outbursts, some of the things he said, they are really, really impulsive. They are very, very badly controlled. He is out of control, really. Also, it does state here, which is quite interesting, the followers only see him as near perfect, which they do. Those that are closest in his cabinet think he is absolutely perfect. His irresponsibility and unreliability. Is not concerned about wrecking others' lives and dreams, oblivious or indifferent to the devastation they cause, does not accept blame themselves, but blame their followers or others outside the group. Blame reinforces passivity and obedience and produces guilt, shame, terror and conformity in the followers. Yes. Sorry, but that's exactly what's happening. Exactly what's happening. It does say infidelity and promiscuous sexual behaviour, but couldn't qualify that. Lack of realistic life plan, it states here, and it tends to move around a lot to make all-encompassing promises for the future. I'm sorry, but he does. He makes sweeping promises that he's the man that can sort out the Middle East, that he's the man with the answers for all our social problems, and he doesn't have any of them. They're just sweeping, vain promises. Many groups claim as their goal world domination or other utopian promises. Again, 100% true. These are just some of the characteristics, guys. I urge you to look for yourself. Find out the truth. Don't accept blindly that this is a normal person. He is, in every sense, ill. This is our Prime Minister. This is the man leading our nation. This is the man people are dying for. Do something, please.